Good afternoon, friends. It is Thanksgiving Eve, and I am going to do something that I have been putting off for quite a while, and that is to put the garlic in the former tomato bed here behind me. So I've never planted garlic before. I probably should have done it a month ago. Our neighbor, who has done it here several times previously, does hers by Halloween, but we had unseasonably cold weather and I didn't want to. So I did some research on what kind of garlic grows best because, of course, it's hot here in the summer. So the garlic will go in the ground now, it will go dormant over the winter, and then it will come back in spring. If you plant your garlic in spring, it just doesn't get as big before harvest season. So this is why you plant it in the fall. I did some research to figure out what's best here. This one, I'm going to mispronounce it probably. Inchellium red is one of the ones that's recommended by the extension office here, and it's also one of the ones that I found in my online research. So I'm just going to take each one of these and break them apart into individual cloves. I'm going to put them, it says you can plant them 4 to 8 inches apart. I'd rather give them more space in here, so I'm going to put them 8 inches apart. I actually have, I don't know if you guys can see this, I have a little diagram here that I drew out with where to put everything and all the spacing. So I'm going to measure out here. I'm going to put these in here. They only go down a couple of inches, so I'm going to cover them all, and then it says to do a light layer of mulch on the top. So the reason I'm doing this today is twofold. First of all, it needs to get done. Second of all, it's supposed to rain for the next 3 days. And we finally have overnight temperatures above freezing. So I feel like now is the right time to do this. So let's plant some garlic. Look at this. This is the root ball of one of the tomato plants from earlier this year. Here's the root ball of the other, one of the other tomatoes. No wonder these things were prolific. Look at the size of these things. That's my hand. It's a lot of roots. One of the things I'm going to do is add some of this fertilizer. I'm going to dig down further than the bulbs. I don't want them right next to the bulbs because this is quite intense. But tomatoes are heavy feeders. They take a lot out of the soil, and although this was fresh potting soil in the spring, those tomatoes were prolific, and I suspect that the nutrients need to be replenished a little bit. I'm not a big fan of chemical fertilizers, but this was free from our neighbor next door, who has since moved away, unfortunately. But free is a very good price, and right now we're still budget conscious. So although in future I would prefer to be using compost for this, you know, needs must. But I found perfectly ripe tomato, but I'm not going to eat it because it's been in the soil. By the way, this same wonderful neighbor, her name was Noelle, she gave us this and this, and I also have a garden buddy, and a lot of the soil that filled the beds actually came from her garden. When she moved last fall, she decided she wasn't going to take all of her raised bed dirt soil with her, and so I brought it all over, and it sat in our yard most of the winter, and then it filled, I think it filled 3 of the 5 beds, which saved us a couple $100 in potting soil. So there's quite a lot of, even though we didn't know her for a very long time, there's quite a lot of Noelle in this garden, and I think about her often, and I'm very, very grateful for the things that she passed on to us. say when you break them apart to keep as much of the paper on as possible. Unlike when you're peeling them and you want to get it all off. And they say the bottom part goes down and the pointy part goes up. So these are, how far away did I do them? 8 inches apart. Well, I have to say, that's one of the easiest plantings I have done so far. I do have about half a clove of this one left, which I think would do one more row. So I'm going to cogitate upon this. I may put a row of these in one of the other beds because why not? But for now, I think this is good. The last thing I'm going to do is put some mulch on there. The internet instructions said to put 1 inch of mulch on here now and then to mulch them more heavily when it gets down below freezing. Now we have had temperatures at night not way, below freezing. It was 22 degrees the other morning, but for the next 4 or 5 days at least it's supposed to be above freezing. So I'm just going to do the 1 inch layer of mulch now, and then when we get back down to freezing temperatures at night, I will come out here and put a lot of mulch on there. And we just use the pine bark mulch from the local Southwood nursery, which is fabulous. Okay, well that is it. That actually was one of the easiest plantings I think I've done to date. Something very satisfying about seeing a bed that's all turned over and prepared for the winter, especially when you know there's something underneath that will hopefully grow in spring. So thanks guys for coming along today at Honey Apple Farm. Fingers crossed for our first garlic harvest next spring. And I will see you soon in my next video. Bye for now.